Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 143 based on novel. So let's start. Sima Yang gritted his teeth and shouted, "Scatter!" This word in the army camp was absolute. The surrounding 9,000 demon soldiers quickly retreated. With the siege gone, the formation naturally disappeared as well. Just at this moment, a bloody light appeared at the center of the army camp and the steward of the army's skinny figure slowly appeared. He didn't come alone, behind him was an old man wearing linen cloth. He stood there with his hair flowing in the air, and everything around him seemed to move with him. At the moment the old man appeared, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze pierced through the demon soldiers and landed directly on the old man. The old man's eyes also narrowed and looked toward Wang Lin. The two people's gazes met and Wang Lin's heart trembled for a moment but quickly recovered. Wang Lin saw 4 seals inside that old man. The old man's body also trembled, and his eyes shined brightly. He was even more shocked that one gaze from Wang Lin had almost caused the seals inside his body to collapse. After the steward of the army appeared, he took one step and teleported instantly to a spot a few dozen feet from Wang Lin. The old man did the same. The steward's skinny face didn't change at all when he saw the bodies on the ground. Sima Yang quickly said, "Lord Steward of the army, the commander killed regiment leader Sun without reason and also killed over 500 demon soldiers. All of this was witnessed by everyone here." Wang Lin waved his right hand and a piece of jade flew toward the steward. The steward looked down at it as he injected demonic spiritual energy into the jade and the various images appeared in his head. Those images were of what just happened. The steward looked at Wang Lin with a profound look. His earlier underestimation of Wang Lin completely disappeared and was instead replaced with the intent to make friends. Wang Lin's action took the initiative and placed himself in a situation where he couldn't lose. He revealed a faint smile and said, "Sorry for bothering you, Commander Wang. I'll report this matter to the Lord General. Those who dared to revolt deserved this." As he spoke, he clasped his hands and smiled as he left. The old man also clasped his hands and said, "Commander Wang's cultivation is amazing, I'm impressed." After the two of them left, Sima Yang silently pondered for a long time before he respectfully said to Wang Lin, "I was reckless on this matter. I hope the commander won't take offense." After he said those words, several of the regiment leaders' eyes revealed mysterious lights. One of them immediately stood out and respectfully said to Wang Lin, "This subordinate was also reckless on this matter." Shortly after, all of the regiment leaders said the same thing. The outcome of this matter was decided from the beginning. The people here weren't stupid and had already seen through Wang Lin's methods. Everything was fine when this newly appointed commander didn't do anything, but when he did, he moved like lightning. If this infighting continued, perhaps something like what happened to regiment leader Sun would happen again. Also, looking at the new commander's cultivation, it looked like even if Sima Yang acted, he wouldn't be a match either. With that in mind, a lot of people began to think of compromising. Wang Lin stood up and pressed the ground with his right hand. A series of rumblings suddenly came from the ground under the army camp as if there were raging dragons moving below. At this moment, the ground of the entire army camp sank by 1 inch. The extra dirt quickly raised up under Wang Lin's feet. Dust filled the air as if it covered the entire world. In almost an instant, a pagoda made from dirt appeared in the army camp. This was a 2-story pagoda. Although it was plain, it gave off a sense of majesty. With a single wave of his hand, Wang Lin was able to take inches of dirt from the entire army camp to make this pagoda. This not only shocked Sima Yang and the regiment leaders but also all 9,000 demon soldiers. "All of you can leave." After leaving that sentence, Wang Lin turned around and walked into the pagoda. 13 quickly followed. As for Hu Pao, he sneered as he looked around before following Wang Lin into the pagoda as well. His heart felt very good because all the pent-up anger from half a month was vented today. His reverence toward Wang Lin became even stronger. After Wang Lin's group of 3 entered the pagoda, Sima Yang clenched his fist, turned around, and left without a word. As for the 9 regiment leaders, they all looked at each other. They all made a decision and each left with their respective regiments. From this day on, the 8 regiment leaders that were close to Sima Yang, aside from regiment leader Sun, who died, only 3 of them kept their close relationship, while the other 4 slowly drew their distance from Sima Yang. From that day onward, Wang Lin's figure became very clear in all the soldiers' minds. Ever since Wang Lin became the commander, he hadn't issued one order, but his majesty was gradually growing with blood. In ancient Demon City, there was a total of 16 military camps. They all wore black armor and only their markings were slightly different. Right now in the 3rd Army Camp, Yao Shishue was silently cultivating inside a house. Late at night, Yao Shishue opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes were shining brightly. Outside the window, the moon of the demon spirit land gave off a purple glow. Tonight was the semi-annual rise of the purple demon. Rumor has that when the purple demon rises, the heavens and earth connect. As for exactly how it works, no one knows. This rumor came from ancient times, and no one was able to explain it clearly. She took a deep breath and stood up. After checking her surroundings with her divine sense, she touched her bag of holding and a red compass immediately appeared in her hand. Looking at the compass, she revealed a look of hesitation. I have gone to that place 3 times, and every time I was stopped at the same spot. Daddy said that to enter that place, my cultivation must first reach the ascendant stage. According to Dad's plan, I'll stay here until I absorb enough demonic spiritual energy to break through to the ascendant stage before going to that place, and with the help of the blood soul pills, I have an 80% chance of breaking through. However, that token unexpectedly appeared during the tide phase. Yao Shishue's beautiful eyebrows furrowed as she pondered with the compass in her hand. When Father, the All-Seer, and company came here many years ago, they learned of this place from one of the demon emperors. Last time, he didn't have time to check the place and went deep into the demon spirit land with everyone else. After analyzing the information for years, he is 60% confident that that place is real. Forget it, I'll go one more time. If I still can't enter, I'll have to wait until I reach the ascendant stage. After all, I have already used 3 of the blood soul pills Father created the last 3 times. Now I only have 6 pills left. I still have to be here for a very long time, so it is best not to waste them. 1 blood soul pill is another life. Yao Shishue revealed a determined look. She was already a beauty, and now that she had this determination in her eyes, she looked very heroic and very alluring. She softly placed the compass on the ground and then touched her bag of holding once more, and a wax pill immediately appeared in her hand. There were rows of small symbols on this small, wax pill. The symbols slowly flashed like they were matching the frequency of someone's breathing and heartbeat. It looked extremely strange. Yao Shishue took a deep breath and crushed the wax pill, then a drop of blue blood quickly appeared. The wax pill was sealing this drop of blue blood. She didn't hesitate at all as she bit her finger, squeezed out some blood, and drew a complicated symbol in the air. After the symbol appeared, it quickly fused with the drop of blue blood. Yao Shishue grabbed the symbol and pressed it between her eyebrows. She revealed an expression of pain that slowly disappeared after a long time. As she gasped for breath, she lifted her finger and then the symbol immediately flew back out, turned back into the drop of blue blood, and floated in the air. She waved her right hand and the drop of blue blood immediately disappeared without a trace. Then she clenched her teeth, took a step, and stepped on the compass on the ground. With a flash of gentle light, a large amount of symbols appeared from the compass and surrounded the room. All of this lasted for 3 breaths of time. After 3 breaths of time, Yao Shishue disappeared along with the compass. Time slowly passed by. Wang Lin's lifestyle didn't change from before. He rarely left his room and spent all day cultivating. He was slowly fusing the demonic spiritual energy with his celestial spiritual energy and striving toward the late stage of soul transformation. There was one thing that was very true about this world. One of the main reasons why the kings of the mortal world were so dignified and were respected by the ministers was because their distance from everyone made them so mysterious. In the eyes of the ministers, the king, who was high above them, was an unreachable existence whose mind was unfathomable, and this gave the kings their majesty. At this moment, Wang Lin was like this inside the Black Armor Army camp. He rarely showed his face, but his majesty slowly spread day by day until it completely suppressed Sima Yang, who often appeared. In these past few months, Hu Pao was like a fish in water inside the army camp. His personality has always been outgoing, and although there were some issues at the start, those slowly disappeared as time went by. His contact with the teams inside the army gradually increased as time went on. This was especially true for a team leader named Xu Yu. This person was a woman, and the moment he saw her, he was shocked. Ever since then, he has been in love with her. On the opposite side, 13 sat in the pagoda, cultivating all day like a gatekeeper. He showed indifference to anyone besides Wang Lin. Several months later, in the third army camp, inside Yao Shishue's room, there was a flash of blue light. Soon, the blue light turned into blue symbols. These blue symbols quickly rotated with a drop of blue blood at the center. This drop of blue blood continued to churn like it was boiling, and the boiling gradually became even more intense. The drop of blue blood suddenly grew several times larger and became a giant ball of blue blood. The surrounding symbols rotated even faster. After a while, the symbols suddenly stopped as if something was calling them. They all flew toward the ball of blue blood and flew into it. When the last symbol entered it, the ball of blue blood quickly shrunk. It didn't shrink all the way back into a drop of blood, but into the shape of a beautiful body. This process didn't last long and was finished in about 5 breaths of time. The blue ball of blood disappeared and was replaced by a female body. This woman was very beautiful with curves in all the right places. Her captivating, curvy body was perfect. She was Yao Shishue. I failed again. If it wasn't for the blood soul pills, I would have died 4 times. But this time I broke through more than half of it. If there was something there to help me, I would have definitely succeeded. Yao Shishue opened her eyes and sighed. However, she soon narrowed her eyes and began to ponder. If there was someone to help me. Wang Lin. There are 2 more cultivators in ancient demon city besides me. Among the 2, one of them is only at the early stage of soul transformation, so they can't help much. Only this Wang Lin, who can endure up to the demon general's 7th punch, should be powerful enough. Only his personality is cold, so without any reward, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to get him to help me. Yahoi Shishue pondered a bit and then waved her hand before her. A white light covered her naked body and she was soon hidden behind a white dress. Time passed by. Wang Lin continued to cultivate inside the Black Armor Army camp. After absorbing the demonic spiritual energy of more than 500 demon soldiers and regiment leader Sun, the demon crystal in his body broke past 1,000 ranks when he finally fused them all. Absorbing demonic spiritual energy with a 1,000+ rank demon crystal was several times faster than before. Wang Lin didn't care about any of the matters in the military camp. He spent all his time absorbing demonic spiritual energy to prepare for breaking into the late stage of soul transformation. On this day, Wang Lin was cultivating when he suddenly opened his eyes and his expression fluctuated slightly. Fellow cultivator Wang, tonight at midnight, meet me on the ancient mountain 1,000 kilometers from the army camp. Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue's voice echoed inside Wang Lin's origin soul like a cloud of misty smoke. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before closing his eyes and continuing to cultivate. At midnight on the ancient mountain 1,000 kilometers from the army camp, Yao Shishue stood at the top of the mountain dressed in white and silently waited. Time slowly passed by, and even after the sun gradually appeared over the horizon, Wang Lin still hadn't appeared. Yao Shishue's expression was cold as she let out a cold snort. Then her body turned into a ray of white light and charged directly at Wang Lin's army camp. She soon arrived outside the army camp and teleported directly inside. The formation around the camp had no effect on her. After all, she was one of the commanders as well. In the army camp, many demon soldiers were practicing formations under the command of their regiment leaders. Yao Shishue's appearance caught the attention of all the demon soldiers. She moved extremely fast and flew directly toward the pagoda Wang Lin was in. Outside the pagoda, 13 suddenly opened his eyes and stood up. He coldly looked at Yao Shishue, who was flying this way. 13 shouted, "Incomer, stop!" Yao Shishua's expression was as cold as ice. She let out a cold snort and instead of slowing down, she flew even faster toward the pagoda. At this moment, the squad leaders outside didn't hesitate at all to charge toward the pagoda. Behind them, the demon soldiers released their demonic spiritual energy and quickly followed. Seeing Yao Shishu closing in, 13 let out a roar as he took one step forward and threw a punch. Yao Shishu didn't even look at 13 as she pointed at the air. A ray of blood-colored light shot out and surrounded 13, making it look like he was wearing a bloody cloak. 13's entire body froze on the spot like a statue. Just as Yao Shishu was about to step into the pagoda, the 9,000 demon soldiers rushed over. One of the regiment leaders quickly shouted, "Commander Yao, stop!" Yao Shishua's face was filled with killing intent as she waved her jade-like hand behind her and a ray of blood-colored light appeared. The surrounding 1,000 feet were immediately surrounded by this blood-colored light, and the demon soldiers rushing over were blocked outside. "I have private affairs with your Commander Wang, so don't bother us." After saying that, Yao Shishu walked into the pagoda. At the moment she walked into the attic, a gentle breeze blew by. When the breeze landed on her, her expression immediately changed. Her entire body suddenly emitted a blood-colored light that only disappeared when the breeze finished passing. 13's body was also hit by the breeze, and he immediately trembled and regained his ability to move. After hearing Wang Lin's words in his ears, he didn't even look at Yao Shishu before silently sitting back down. "Fellow cultivator Yao sure has a bad temper." Wang Lin's voice slowly came out from the pagoda. There was no indication of joy or anger in his voice. The coldness on Yao Shishua's face was still there as she snorted and said, "My anger can't match fellow cultivator Wang's haughtiness." With that, she walked forward 3 steps, opened the door, and went inside. The windows inside the pagoda were completely sealed, so no light could enter. At the moment the door was opened, a bright ray of sunlight entered the pagoda. Wang Lin was sitting in the lotus position in the darkness, his expression hidden by it. Wang Lin's voice was very cold. "Since you entered this place, if you don't have something that will interest me, don't blame me for ignoring you." He had reached the critical moment of his cultivation and was planning to go into closed-door cultivation for several months to refine the demonic spiritual energy inside his body to reach the late stage of soul transformation. Now that he had been interrupted, he naturally wouldn't give her any face. Yao Shishu coldly said, "When I asked you to meet me on the ancient mountain, why didn't you come?" "Why would I go?" Wang Lin frowned. He had only met this girl twice before. Counting this time, it was only the 3rd time. Yao Shishu was startled. She was filled with anger earlier, so she directly came here. Now that Wang Lin retorted with that question, she didn't know what to say. After pondering a bit, Yao Shishu bowed and said, "This matter was me being reckless and I hope fellow cultivator Wang won't take offense. I came here because I need fellow cultivator Wang's help with something." "What is it?" Wang Lin's words were brief. He didn't want to waste too much time with her because right now was a critical moment for refining the demonic spiritual energy in his body. Yao Shishu pointed behind her and the door suddenly closed, then a blood-colored light surrounded the entire pagoda. "This matter is extremely secretive, so I have to be on guard. I hope fellow cultivator Wang won't mind." Right now Yao Shishu needed to ask for help, so she had to suppress her temper. Wang Lin calmly said, "No problem." Yao Shishu pondered a bit and said, "There is a restriction I can't break by myself. If fellow cultivator Wang helps me, once the restriction is broken, I'll definitely have a great reward for you." Wang Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, "Right now I have important matters to deal with, so I can't help you break the restriction. I hope fellow cultivator Yao will forgive me." Forget the fact that he really didn't have time right now. Even if he did have time, he wouldn't agree so easily. After all, he had no relationship with this person, and if she couldn't even break it with her cultivation, then Wang Lin didn't believe he could help much. Also, the most important part was that her words were very vague and obviously left out a lot. As a result, Wang Lin wouldn't help her, and he had no reason to help her. When Yao Shishu decided to ask Wang Lin for help, she already knew that he wouldn't agree so easily, So she didn't give up and said, "Fellow cultivator Wang's cultivation is at the mid-stage of soul transformation. If you want to reach the late stage of soul transformation, the amount of celestial jades needed is great, and if you wish to step into the ascendant stage, the amount of celestial jades you will need is beyond imagination. This is just for increasing your cultivation level. To have to spend 500 years here, you must have a lot of celestial jades prepared just to be consumed regularly. As a result, I believe celestial jade is the most important thing to fellow cultivator Wang right now. I wonder if fellow cultivator Wang has enough? If not, I can provide them." Wang Lin opened his eyes and saw that in the dark room, there were two eyes bright as the moon looking at him. He looked at Yao Shishue and asked, "How many can you provide?" Yao Shishue revealed a smile. She wasn't afraid of Wang Lin giving too big of a price, but Wang Lin was not interested at all before. Now that Wang Lin had asked, she was confident she could satisfy him. Yao Shishue calmly said, "I can provide enough for fellow cultivator to reach the early stage of ascendant." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Yao Shishue's words tempted him. Right now he indeed needed celestial jades. If he had enough, he would have already reached the late stage of soul transformation and wouldn't have to absorb the demonic spiritual energy he worked so hard to collect. What she said was correct. Although Wang Lin had just enough celestial jades to barely reach the late stage of soul transformation, if he were to use them all up now, if he was ever injured or lost celestial spiritual energy in the remaining 500 years, he would be at a huge disadvantage. He had already considered this before, which was why he still hadn't absorbed energy from any celestial jades. Instead, he gathered demonic spiritual energy to fuse with his celestial spiritual energy. He was saving the celestial jades for last. Wang Lin even made up his mind that once he reaches the peak of the late stage of soul transformation, he was going to lead the demon soldiers outside and ransack every cultivator he met for celestial jades. Yao Shishue quickly said, "How about it? If fellow cultivator Wang agrees, I can give you enough celestial jades to reach the late stage of soul transformation. As for the rest, I'll immediately give them to you once we return." Wang Lin pondered for a long time and asked, "What kind of restriction is it?" "I don't know the name of the restriction, but once it actives, it creates a rotating wheel restriction with a total of 18 restriction seals. I can only break through to the 11th one, but I believe that with your help, I can break through them all." What Yao Shishue said was mostly true, but there was a very important thing she didn't mention. Breaking this restriction was a matter of life and death. If you break through, you live, but if you fail, you die. She failed 4 times, meaning she had died 4 times and consumed 4 extremely valuable blood soul pills that her father risked his life to obtain. There were only 13 of these pills, and a majority of them were in her hands. Wang Lin pondered a bit, then his eyes narrowed and he asked, "Where is this restriction located?" Yao Shishue pondered a bit and said, "I can't say more until fellow cultivator Wang agrees. I can tell you that it requires a special treasure to enter the place. As of now, there shouldn't be anyone besides me who can enter. Although she concealed a lot from me, celestial jades are extremely important to me right now. If I have enough celestial jades, I can reach the late stage of soul transformation in a short period of time. Although reaching the ascendant stage will require me to comprehend more about the heavens, with the celestial jades, I won't have any worries. However, I can't easily promise her. I must see what her bottom line is." Wang Lin pondered for a bit and shook his head. "I have to take some time to consider this. I'll give fellow cultivator an answer 4 months from now." Yao Shishue's beauty eyebrows furrowed. She already felt like her offer was very good and that she was extremely sincere. She had already said all that needed to be said and the reward was very good. She even suppressed her temper because she needed his help. However, this Wang Lin continued to delay this matter and this made her start to feel impatient. However, without his help, she would have to wait until the ascendant stage before she could break the restriction. Although she wasn't lacking celestial jades, she still had to comprehend the heavens first. Comprehending the heavens could be short or long, no one knew exactly when they would gain enlightenment. Also, she couldn't allow the inhabitants here to know of this place, or it would start a calamity. Thinking about it over and over again, Wang Lin was the most suitable candidate. Seeing Wang Lin's demonic form when fighting with the demon general made her even more confident that she could break the restriction with his help. Yao Shishue looked at Wang Lin and began to ponder. She began thinking back to what Wang Lin had said before and seemed to somewhat understand his meaning. The 4 months Wang Lin asked for was just his leverage for more reward. She felt a hint of contempt, and her voice naturally became colder as she said, "What more do you want? More celestial jades? Treasures? Spells?" Wang Lin didn't mind her tone and calmly said, "I don't care about treasures or spells. Converting them into more celestial jades would be for the best." The contempt in Yao Shishue's heart became 7 stronger, and she said, "My father's blood cave has a lot of celestial jades. I'll give you a token, and once you leave Demon Spirit Land, you can go fetch them yourself." Wang Lin nodded and said, "That is fine, but this matter is very dangerous, so I still need to consider it." Yao Shishue's face suddenly became cold and she coldly asked, "How long do you want to consider for?" Wang Lin calmly said, "About 3 months. You?" Yao Shishue was enraged. She waved her sleeves, causing the door to open, before turning around and walking toward the door. Wang Lin calmly said, "I won't see you off." Yao Shishue had half her foot out of the pagoda when she took a deep breath, clenched her teeth, and touched her bag of holding to take out a wax pill. She looked at Wang Lin with indifference in her eyes and said, "I'll give you this and you will depart with me in 3 days. If you still don't agree, then forget this matter." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and looked at the wax pill in Yao Shishue's hand. This wax pill looked very ordinary without anything abnormal about it. However, as he continued to examine it, he saw the rows of fine symbols carved onto the pill. These symbols flickered in a strange frequency that matched Yao Shishue's breathing and heartbeat. Wang Lin asked, in a serious tone, "What is this?" Yao Shishue didn't hide the contempt in her eyes and said, "You don't even know what this is. Well, that is to be expected since you just became the All-Seer's disciple. This is something unique to my father, the Blood Ancestor. It is called the Blood Soul Pill." Blood Soul Pill. This was the first time Wang Lin had heard about this pill, but his expression didn't change at all. He didn't know that if the cultivators back on Tianyun heard this, they would all go crazy. The value of this pill could not be estimated. Yao Shishue coldly said, "This pill is named Blood Soul. It is not meant to be devoured, it's meant for you to leave your origin soul and flesh imprint mark on it and create a connection. Even if your origin soul is destroyed, you can still reincarnate. To be more exact, it can die for you once." Wang Lin's expression finally changed. He waved his right hand, causing the pill to fly out of Yao Shishue's hand and into his. Yao Shishue already knew that Wang Lin would want to inspect it personally, so she didn't stop him and let him take the pill. As she looked at Wang Lin's moved expression, she began to sneer in her heart. Although that was a blood soul pill, it was a failed one. This was something her father created to prevent others from stealing. Although it also contained a drop of blue blood, it contained too many impurities and toxins. Aside from the father and daughter, no one else could tell the difference between the real and fake pills. As a result, there was no need to be afraid of anyone trying to steal them. If one placed their hopes on this failure pill, it meant that they had already thrown away half their life. Wang Lin held the wax pill and immediately noticed the symbols on it. The frequency of the flashes suddenly changed to match his own heartbeat. Clearly the frequency of the flashes depended on who held this pill at the moment. Holding this pill, Wang Lin felt a strong sense of a blood bond. It was like this was part of his body, this feeling was very strong. Wang Lin took a deep breath, then he raised his head to look at Yao Shishue and said, in a serious tone, "Give me the celestial jades." Without a word, Yao Shishue took out a bag of holding and tossed it at Wang Lin, then she said, "This is enough celestial jades for you to reach the late stage of soul transformation. I'll give you the rest when we get back. 3 days from now come find me in the ancient mountain at midnight." Wang Lin pondered a bit. After a while, he slowly said, "I will." Yao Shishue let out a smile and left. She wasn't afraid of Wang Lin taking the things and leaving. She didn't care about the celestial jades, and she cared even less about the pill. Wang Lin's gaze was still on Yao Shishue until she was far away. He withdrew his gaze and began to ponder. This woman sure is carefree, not afraid that I would break the promise. However, there must be a reason for her to be so carefree. I guess this woman doesn't care about celestial jades at all. To be able to give away so much at once, I guess her father, the blood ancestor, has a lot of celestial jades. However, this blood soul pill is a bit strange. If this pill is really as she says, there's no way a lot of them exist, so they should be extremely rare. I'm afraid it will be comparable to a real celestial spell. In order to get my help, she is willing to give one away. If I was her and gave it to someone, I would definitely have done something to it. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and muttered, Yao Shishue, if you weren't so carefree, I would have at most doubted you, but now I'm confident that there is some problem with this blood soul pill. His eyes lit up as he touched his bag of holding and took out an ordinary soul flag. He shook the flag and shouted, Kao Ido. A black mist quickly came from the soul flag and took the shape of a person. This person was the guide he had found for himself, Kao Ido. The moment Kao Ido appeared, he prostrated on the ground and respectfully said, Greetings, Master. Wang Lin didn't waste any time and asked, Do you know the blood ancestor? When Kao Ido heard the name, blood ancestor, his expression immediately changed. It took him a long time to recover and he said, I know that the fame of the blood ancestor is something every cultivator on planet Tianyun knows of. Rumor has it that he has challenged the All-Seer 7 times, and although he lost every time, his cultivation each time was stronger than before. There is also a rumor that he is the third most powerful cultivator on planet Tianyun after the All-Seer and Ling Qianhu. Although this is just a rumor, that just shows how powerful his cultivation really is. Wang Lin pondered for a bit and said, Have you heard of the blood soul pill? Blood soul pill. Kao Ido immediately became excited. The level of excitement he showed was even more than when Wang Lin promised him a soul transformation body. Master, this blood soul pill is something that can be considered one of the top 3 treasures on planet Tianyun. This pill has the ability to steal from the heavens to change one's fate by allowing cultivators to revive from the dead. This pill belongs only to the blood ancestor, no one knows how he got them. Kao Ido was very excited, and his speech became a lot faster. Wang Lin opened his right hand, and in his right hand there was a wax pill giving off a strange flicker. Do you know what this is? Kao Ido was startled and took a careful look at the wax pill. After a short while, his expression changed greatly as he muttered to himself, wrapped by the wax made from white lizard beast and has a total of 3,614 symbols engraved on it. It flashes along with the holder's breathing frequency and gives off a feeling that it is your flesh and blood. Master, was I right? Wang Lin's expression was calm as he nodded. Kao Ido suppressed the excitement in his heart and immediately said, Master, please drop a drop of blood on it. Wang Lin hesitated a bit before biting a fingertip and squeezing a drop of blood on it. The moment the blood fell on the wax pill, there was a flash of blue light. The blue light lasted for 3 breaths of time before disappearing. Flashing symbol on the wax and a blue light with a drop of blood. Yes, this is a soul blood pill. As Kao Ido stared at the wax pill, his face was filled with greed. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he looked at the Kao Ido and slowly asked, Kao Ido, with your cultivation, was your position in your sect high? Kao Ido didn't seem to hear Wang Lin at all. Right now the only thing in his eyes was the blood soul pill. This pill was very important to him. He vaguely remembered that if he were to take the pill as a soul, it would allow him to condense a new body. Looking at his appearance, Wang Lin frowned and let out a cold snort. This snort entered Kao Ido's soul and it was like a bucket of cold water was poured on him, causing him to immediately sober up. After hearing Wang Lin's question, he was startled before he bitterly shook his head. Not high, or else I wouldn't have been sent to planet Suzaku by the corpse sect to possess a body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he said, if your status isn't high, why do you know so much about the blood soul pill to even know how to differentiate between real and fake? Kao Ido was startled once more and warily smiled. Master, the method to identify the blood soul pill is known by almost everyone on planet Tianyun, it is not a secret. Wang Lin nodded as he waved the flag and called Kao Ido back inside. He looked at the blood soul pill and his expression became even more gloomy. If this is so precious, why is the method of identifying it so widespread and confirmed as the truth? There must be some ulterior motives behind all of this. Blood ancestor, no wonder he is an old monster who has cultivated for so long. With one easy move, he dissolved the crisis of carrying such a rare treasure. If I were him, I would have done the same. As Wang Lin squeezed the wax pill in his hand, his eyes filled with clarity. This video will end here.